It's also hard not to be excited about the trade deadline coming up Friday, March 8th. I believe at 3 p.m. is the
I believe
cutoff.
so, yeah.
We talked about this like yesterday, and I already don't remember. But I'm pretty sure 3 p.m. And this kind of ties in with some of the goalie convo and some other stuff. But got a question on Twitter from Not the Real Goose, one of our regulars, I believe. And it's directed to Charlie, but we're all going to answer it. But I think Charlie's like, the guy with the best grasp on this stuff. Any thoughts on Briere's ability to weaponize the new cap space with potentially putting Ellis on LTIR and Hart's contract now not counting against the cap? If you haven't heard, it was reported the Flyers, Devils, and Flames are going to receive salary cap relief for the players on leave facing charges for the 2018 Hockey Canada sex abuse scandal. Like a disclaimer, as always, not the most important thing, but we're talking about hockey. So with a little bit of maneuverability, because the Flyers have less cap space than you think because of all the moves they've had to make, but with a little bit of maneuverability, you have Hart's almost $4 million, 3.979. You can move Ellis to LTIR, and I assume get the 6.25 there. Talking about like maybe $10 million. I know we're all in to like make the playoffs now, but you always look for different ways you can manipulate things, like the way they brought back the Cal Peterson contract so they can make sure they got the return they wanted for Ivan Provorov. Do you think they might be in the market to do something like that again, Charlie, if they have like this close to 10 mil?
I can't rule it out. Basically, there's two ways they could potentially do that. One is doing what they did in the Provorov deal, which is take on contracts. They took on Sean Walker, ends up being a great move. They took him on. They took on Cal Peterson. This was all to essentially make sure that they got a first-round pick out of the Ivan Provorov deal. So they could do that. They could take back a bad contract for a year, for the rest of the season, for a couple more years, whatever, to maximize return. Or they could serve as a middleman. They could essentially let a team trade a guy to the Flyers first. They retain extra salary. Then they trade him to the team that actually wants this guy. So they could do that. There's a couple reasons why I'm skeptical they will. Number one, I'm not 100% sure how this Carter Hart cap
relief situation is going to work.
My guess, I just haven't been able to get it confirmed yet, is that it's going to be whatever is left on Hart's deal. So I'm guessing that's about
the prorated amount, not the
entire. So I'm guessing it's going to be like, functionally about 1.5 million, something like that. Whatever is left on his deal for the remainder of the year, the Flyers will not be charged against the cap for. But I don't know that for sure. So I don't want to give any answers based on information I don't quite yet have. Number two, I just wonder if the Flyers might not see it as the right move now because. So if you're talking about the first option of taking on a player, they're already pretty cramped in terms of roster and lineup spots now. So I don't know if that's something they even really want to do, if they want to take on another guy just to kind of have him. If they did, I would assume they would just like sit him down and have him be their next Mark Stahl and just be benched. Or
could they bury him?
They guess they could bury him, possibly. That's an option too. The other thing is, and this is when you're talking about the idea of being a middleman and retaining salary. You're only allowed to retain 3 salaries at one time. They're already retaining Kevin Hayes for the next 3 years. So that's one. They're down to 2 spots. My assumption is that they are going to move Sean Walker. And I would guess that they would retain salary on Sean Walker to maximize the return. So that's another spot. I'm not sure if they would be willing to do retention and fill up that 3rd slot until they know for sure that they're not going to move anyone else at the deadline where they could potentially retain. Like, if they're going to be a middleman type, I would think that might be something that doesn't happen until like the deadline because they know, we don't need to save the spot for anything because no other trades are going down. Sure, we'll retain an extra $2 million to pick up a 4th-round pick. Why not? But I don't think it's something that they're necessarily going to do right away because they want to keep that flexibility open.
That's something that we hear about like maybe at 10 after 3 when it's like, listen, hey, it's over, but we always hear about deals like maybe it's like quarter to like whatever. It's something they do. And I would assume, given that, man, it really worked out that Tony D'Angelo, thanks NHL.
Yeah.
Like not letting us retain salary and just buying him out. Like that actually, well done, Danny. Like that whole situation. But I would assume even if they are going to do that, it would be a rental guy, a guy with 1 year
You
left.
would think, right?
Because we've talked about the different possibilities of whether it's Cam Atkinson, whether it's TK, guys you could potentially move in the offseason. Now, like TK, you wouldn't want to retain salary, but if it gets you a bigger return, you do it because you want the big return. Yeah, I would like it would have to be a dude on a 1 year deal that you're playing middleman and retaining that 50% of 50%, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. And when even Sean Walker's salary, not huge, but you look at these contenders like Colorado, Edmonton, Toronto, they got no cap space.
Nope.
Like, if they're going to bring a guy in, you're going to have to retain and figure some things out. You're probably going to have to take someone back, mess with the cap a little. So it's a possibility, but there's a lot of moving pieces is what I'm saying.
I do also think the Flyers, because this is something that you rarely see, I don't think the Flyers would like to, if possible, I don't think they want to tap into long-term injured reserve allowance in order to pick up a draft pick, because I think they just worry about the possibility of bonuses. They don't want bonus overages to pop in. Like, they would rather not. There's a reason why Ryan Ellis is not on long-term injured reserve. They would rather not do it. Now, if they have to, they will. But they would rather not tap into that allowance unless it's absolutely necessary. And I'm not sure they would look at picking up an extra fourth-round pick as being worth putting Ellis on LTIR and tapping into that space.
We also talked about the idea like moving guys back and forth, like him not being on LTIR right now. Don't they have to make a case to move a guy to LTI? And it's like, well, you didn't do it all year.
I mean, I don't think that would be
I feel like this came up, but maybe not.
I don't believe
everyone else gets away with it.
Well, because he's on injured reserve. So they've already made the case that he can't play. I don't think they need to make a case that he really, really can't play because everybody knows he's never going to play again.
We can't find this guy, all right? He's on one leg. That's the case.
He's on LSI.
We don't know where he is.
I saw him one time in my life.
I've seen him a couple. I mean, I saw him. This was actually kind of sad. This was, I guess it would have been either last summer. I think it was last summer. And we were all, because I think I might have even made this point on this podcast, but all the media people were in the media room in Voorhees, and there was some interview. I think it might have been a Danny or like whoever it was. It might have been Chuck. I don't even remember. It was somebody. We were interviewing somebody in the media room. We're all in the media room, the work area, and we're typing away. And the way the work area is set up is there is a glass window that allows you to look out onto the practice facility. And we all see a little kid and then working with someone who was very clearly a skating coach. It's like, oh, that's cute, whatever. And then you look over, and on the other side of the glass down, like at ice level, there's this guy just watching. And somebody, I think it might have been Jordan Hall, it's just like, wait, I think that's Ryan Ellis. And it was when you looked at it. And it was just sad because it's like, this isn't even a case of a guy not being able to play NHL hockey anymore. This is a case of a guy who can't even skate to like help his son or daughter. I couldn't tell. I don't remember, but couldn't even help like his kid learn how to skate. And like, it really does suck. And it reminds you that like, these are people, you know, we can joke about Ryan Ellis and like, it is darkly funny in a way, but I do really feel bad for the guy because I'm sure he would like nothing more than to be able to play hockey and to be able to skate with his kid. And instead he's got to stand off to the side and have someone else do it.
These dudes don't like to hang it up.
Yeah.
No.
Like hockey gets taken away from you. Very few just walk away.
Yeah.
You know, like Joe Thornton would still be playing if he could. These dudes play forever. I'm pretty sure like Joe Watson just played at 80.
Joe Watson
he just played at an alumni game at 80 years old. Like that's, they want to keep. So I do hate thinking of them as humans though, because it really makes it hard to like call them assholes. Stop the puck, you son of a bitch.
Oh,
just put it in the net. It's super easy. No.
We all silly like the mayor.